In the Fallout TV show, the primary antagonist of Season 1 was Molldaver, and she had a plan. A plan to bring unlimited power to the people of the Wasteland. And in this evaluation, I will go through it, and how it does not quite add up. So, pre-war, Molldaver went by a different name and was a scientific genius, or so we are told. You see, she was on the verge of creating cold fusion power that would end the resource wars and bring peace to the world through unlimited free energy, but Vault-Tec found out and bought out every company she had ever worked with. Now, this is a problem within the world of Fallout, as we already know that pre-war, fusion power already existed and was in use in everyday things. Fallout Tactics, now confirmed to be canon thanks to Emil Pagliarillo, had fusion batteries required to run power armor. Fallout 4 continued on with that and had fusion cores running not only power armor but also power banks to provide electricity. Cars were also fusion powered, and older energy weapons also used fusion cells. But I'm getting a little bit off track with that, so let's put aside existing lore, much as the show likes to do, and assume that she invented it. Molldaver wants her technology back, and recruits Cooper Howard to spy on Vault-Tec. At some point between there and October 23rd, but no longer than a year due to Janie Howard not aging, Cooper Howard divorced his wife and was seemingly unable to help Molldaver get her technology back before the Great War started and destroy the world in a couple of hours. However, Vault-Tec had apparently been holding on to the technology to use themselves, as they gave every executive the 8-digit code required to switch it on. Somehow, the Enclave got their hands on this technology and did not finish it on Control Station Enclave prior to its destruction at the hands of the Chosen One. Instead, it was stored in an unnamed research site for years, and seemingly with a command to not do anything with it. It is here that it fell into the hands of a scientist called Wilzig, and where Molldaver's post-war plan sprung from. Breaking the rules, Wilzig not only raised a dog in secret away from the official training program, of which he was seemingly a part, but he was working on getting cold fusion working. As the plot of the show exists, he was successful in getting it working, planning to smuggle it out, and injected it behind his right ear. We have no idea of the movement of time in a lot of scenes, this being no exception, as at some point another scientist entered his lab, saw the unauthorized tech equipment, and was killed by the dog. This forced Wilzig to escape in a hurry. Judging by his reactions, this was not part of the plan, and he probably was not intending to leave on this day or at this time. So far so fine, right? Well, there is a teeny tiny problem. Molldaver knew that he not only had the cold fusion technology, but he had also fled. There is no evidence I can see during this scene of Wilzig and Molldaver having any kind of conversation before or after this event. There is no way that Molldaver would have been able to get into the Enclave lab to speak to him, as the Enclave are genetic purists who view everyone other than themselves as subhuman and not deserving of continued existence. Also, they had very recently had their control station and president exploded, thanks to a Wastelander who had been in contact with the NCR, who Molldaver was now working with. Now, Wilzig does strap on a Pip-Boy, but as far as we are shown through all their interactions, they do not have microphones on them, only speakers and radio tuners. In theory, Molldaver could have put out a radio transmission asking for anyone who has her cold fusion technology to get it to her, but then everyone would have picked it up, as that is how radio transmissions work. So, without any way we are shown as a pair communicating, Wilzig leaves the Enclave, and Molldaver somehow knows that not only has he done that, but he has cold fusion with him as well. It is after this point that two things seemingly happen at the same time. First is that Molldaver makes a sensible move to throw money at the problem in order to get someone to escort Wilzig to her in Griffith Observatory, giving a seemingly large amount of money as well as written instructions to an NPC called Rufus. She also seemingly sent out a transmission detailing that Wilzig not only had left the Enclave, but also had the tech she wanted, as this travelled all the way to Boston, where it was intercepted by the Brotherhood. Side note here, Rufus used the money he had been given to pay his brother Tommy, to then pay Marjune, to then pay a courier to escort Wilzig. Marjune owns a shop in Philly, but as with the lack of communication previously noted, there is nothing to suggest that Wilzig was going to go to Philly. There are only two reasons I can think of as to why this would happen, neither of which we see evidence of in the show. The first is that Molldaver told him to go there so that he would be escorted to her, or the second is that Philly is the only town in the region, which we know from Fallout 1 is not true, as there is not only a Ditum, but also a Gunrunner's factory. Anyway, with that part of the plan in place, Molldaver took the Pip-Boy off her feral ghoulified lover, Rose McLean, and used it to enter Vault 32 with a small gang of raiders that she recruited from somewhere, I guess. It might be that her plan was to kidnap the Overseer of 32, but everyone had already been dead there for a good couple of months by the time they arrived, so it was just incredibly lucky that it was the very day of the inter-vault exchange, and as she was able to bluff her way into 33 by agreeing to a wedding exchange for crop seeds, dressed everyone up as vault dwellers, and fitted everyone with Pip-Boys. The plan to kidnap the Overseer of 33, Hank McLean, she let the raiders get on with the wedding ceremony, and then let them all go on a bloody rampage, killing whoever they wanted. Again, she seemed to be astonishingly lucky. Not only was Hank not accidentally shot by automatic weapons fire or stabbed, but also turned up at her hostage situation at the vault door to 32. He was then kidnapped and taken back to Griffith Observatory. Another side note here, it is super fortunate that Bud's Tri-Vault was located within the Los Angeles area, as if it was anywhere else in the country, she would not have been able to get the codes she needed. It is also very fortunate that it happened that 32 did not happen in 33 as well. So at this point, she had someone with codes and was just waiting for Wilzig, which happened to take a whole week. And he turned up just as a head, carried to her by Lucy McLean, who was very close to being killed by one of her raiders. How very fortunate indeed. When she did plug everything in, again it is astoundingly lucky that Lucy convinced Hank to put the code in to activate cold fusion, or even that the code had not been changed, or it had been lost along the way, or been damaged by being inside a rotting carcass, or getting digested by a gulper, or any other number of things. So, to put it simply, Lee Molldaver's plan was to have a stranger escort a man to her at the same time as assaulting a vault, and hoping that they don't accidentally kill someone with the knowledge they need, as it seemingly never entered her mind to do what Norman did, and just request entry into 31, and just kidnap a junior executive straight out of cryosleep. It is a plan highly reliant on just pure luck.